postazione bar con i tifosi, con gli accompagnatori, che bella è. Scoccano le 5, lì si riempie di spritz alla velocità della luce, te lo dico io. Gara con gara. Molto più comodo così, o no? Caspita. C'è niente da paragonare. Si parte dal Tigerai, parete tigrata, vediamo sulla gialla, M1, blu, la W2, rosso bianco mi verrebbe da chiamare, se c'è l'algida, bianco rosa la fragola, sì sì, a livello cromatico ci siamo, fior di fragola se no, la parete fior di fragola. I transatori nel frattempo si stanno riportando, non nel dopo perché siamo qua imparati nel Madia Santo. Il nostro lavoro. 1 minute 30. Minuto e 30 cominceremo di nuovo a fare i seri. Per raccontarvi questa semifinale. 24 coppie, solo 8.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for this, the third semi-finals of the day here at Aerobia Climbing here in Bergamo. This is the under-17 category for both women and men. I'm James Blay from our piano distribution studio here in Italy, and I'm joined by Alex Fry, national route setter from the UK. Ciao Alex, come stai?
Good, thank you.
We've just taken a small break. This morning we watched the under-19 category compete, followed by the under-21s, and they were on the same boulders with some minor tweaks. Now we have a fresh set of 4 semi-final boulders for women and 4 semi-final boulders for men, which these young under-17 athletes will compete on. There are 80 female athletes, or there were 80 female athletes in the qualification round of this competition, representing 29 countries, and that has been boiled down to 24 individuals who progressed to today's semi-finals. And for the men, there were 73 athletes across 25 countries, which has now been simmered down to 24 under-17 males. And we will see the competition start on the right-hand side of this wall with 2 quite slabby boulders. And prior to this, we've been watching competition on a very different section of wall with a much more extreme overhang profile. So here we're starting with slabs on the right again, but then the most extreme part of the wall is probably only 30 degrees. So we've got like a positive 5-degree slab for the women on the right-hand side, and a section of wall which has a couple of different angles for this young male competitor to start on to her left.
So we had a bit of a chance to talk with one of the IFSC route setters for this event, Nimrod Marcos, before they started. So said the yellow boulder to the left, that is men's number 1, quite a dynamic problem. Big jump across into the block jug, and then another jump up to the sloper after that. Whereas the women's slab, bit more of a slower slab. Both athletes just feeling it out a little bit, getting to grips.
Multiple parts of this route in the wall.
This looks like a really delicate section here moving across. These volumes are all dual text in some way. Some of them have a lot of texture, some of them have very little texture.
So we're here with Julia Rasmussen on boulder number 1 from Switzerland, and then Olivier Huisman from Switzerland on men's 1. Olivier just finding the top there.
Olivier doing the top section on the first try after he'd stuck the first move. Took him a few goes to get that first move. But his competition off to a good start.
Yeah, managing to top in 4 attempts. Finding the bonus and the top on the same attempt. So we're just with Julia on the mats now, as she is the sole climber, being the first out in this under 17 category. Yeah, so when these holds first came on the scene, they were really quite a mystery to people, but it seems quite clear which parts you hold and which parts have friction now, and then which parts do not have friction and are smooth. We can even see that from the camera shot here of this sort of tiger print, but ultimately it seems quite clear the areas of friction and the areas without.
I think there's something about this this patterning that just makes it a little bit harder than the dual texture volumes that are all one colour.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, once they get a bit more chalk on them, it certainly becomes a lot clearer. So the chalk tends to stick to the texture, but not to the smooth parts.
And honestly, visibility is a big thing, isn't it? You know, and it's a little bit disconcerting if you have an extra level of security if you can clearly identify visually what you need to stand on, how it looks, and you have already like a predefined imagination of how it should feel, and the combination of those two senses gives you more security on footholds. I mean, it's almost like climbing on fading light when you're climbing outdoors. I mean, for me, I find that particularly hard, and I can imagine these holds being a very similar situation to that. You know, you've not got that visual confidence to combine with what you're feeling under your feet.
I think that the manufacturers have also started to really play with the dual tex a lot. When the dual tex fiberglass first came out, I suppose it was done in a slightly more predictable way, where you'd have texture across the handhold part and then everything else across the back would be smooth. Whereas you can see with these tiger print ones, the amount of texture and varies quite significantly on the different holds.
Yeah.
And we're even starting to get some now where it's almost slightly mirrored, I suppose, in that you have the bit that you would expect to have texture has none, and then the texture is all on the other part.
So here on men's 2, we welcome Timotiej Sirmak from Czech Republic, and on women's 1, we have Swan Lamblin Berger from France. Both of them having their first attempts on these boulders.
Swan getting her fingers into that zone hold, but I think not in a way that was able to secure it. She kind of sort of went across to the hold and was holding it as she fell off. So although I think she has been awarded that zone, so she must have been a little bit more stable in it before she came off.
Wow, you can see that right hand trembling just in that dish. I mean, like you were saying, them playing with the amounts of dual texture and not. I mean, the one that she has with her right hand now with her thumb, it's just a dimple of texture inside what is otherwise a completely smooth hold, is it not?
Yeah. And then you've got this foothold in the middle of the hold that looks like you should be able to stand on the lower part, but
yes,
obviously that foothold is needed. And it is pretty small. We were able to have a walk along and have a look at those. And I think you went right up to that foothold.
I did indeed. Yeah, I always like inspecting the small materials, because I know it's good to have sort of first-hand experience of how little they have to play with. And you're right, I feel like maybe there could be 2 possible foot placements on that volume. The sort of the outer edge of the textured area that you see in that circular shape of the volume, and then the screw on which she chose to use, and maybe the right foot was just too high on that attempt on the screw on, and Swan could play with using the crescent of the actual volume first and then the foothold. But let's see. I don't have any insights on that from the route setters, so that's just myself.
The volume that she's just moved her hand off, it's the best part of it is on the right hand side. So as you move round to the other sides, it does get shallower and it does get worse. So I imagine there's something with the best part of the hold is angled in a way that it doesn't work very well to use for your feet. I think it's also quite a big move up here. So
yeah, I don't have any reference for that. It's sort of obviously
looks like a bit of a pounce to what I think is. It all depends on what the route setters have done with that hold. I think the hold that they're going up to is actually pretty good, but as always, there could be anything shoved down in the back of it to make it worse.
Really, playing tricks.
Yeah.
What I wanted to say about the men's one is from these camera angles so far, it's hard to see just how much ground Timothée has to cover from left to right to establish himself on the zone. It's a massive section of wall to cover in a single jump.
Yeah, it's a pretty terrifying looking move.
Yeah, I mean, from that little glimpse there, I mean, from this angle you just can't, unless you've got good perception depth-wise, I mean, you're just not, I don't think that's really illustrating how far that move is, so maybe we'll see it from another angle in due course.
Yeah, it looks like a good 1.5 to 2 meters, like sideways, that you've got to launch. We can see it slightly better from here.
Yeah, just briefly.
And you're also sort of jumping really from the start position, because as soon as you hit that first hold, you're then swinging. So you're jumping from further away than this next hold.
So let me welcome to the mats Bella Ryder from Great Britain, who last competed at the European Youth Cup in Graz back on the 11th of May, just 6 days ago. And then we will also welcome Bernat Gutat from Spain on men's one.
So this boulder with the blue volumes with the green screw-ons, this sequence was described to us as you essentially end up in double Gastons opposing them, but he did say that there might be a number of different ways of doing it.
Swiss athlete here, progressing really well through those moves.
Julia making quite light work of that. Was that a flash, or is that her? Yeah, that was a flash on that boulder. Okay, so Bernard managing to set up for that move slightly differently, to sort of get established on the second hold in the sequence and then generate from there. The previous athletes have been sort of jumping straight from the start position.
Olivier finding his way through that first movement, getting his tricep into play, pressing himself up on the first hold, trying to gain some height here on men's two. On these beautifully rippled chapter holds. Really slopey holds actually, so really needing that toe hook to sort of gain stability in this part of the wall and this part of the climb. I think this top looks hard.
Yeah, this was described to us as quite an awkward match. The finishing hold it's got a little bit of an ink up to it, in that it's not flat, but it's very slopey.
Yeah, we've seen boulders today. Once the athletes have reached the penultimate hold, you know, they've been quite easy to close. Most of the meat of the climbing has been done to that point, but here it looks like the final move and the final match is going to be a difficult one. So, another attempt with a minute to go here on men's one. Let's see what Bernard can manage.
That gives you a little bit of the idea of the distance, in that he was able to land with the foot on, but the handhold that he's going for is a bit beyond his span. So you do have to actually swing and jump across.
No, Bella finding good positions in this boulder, you know, progressing through this well.
So
Looks like she's read it well on her feet. Good fashion. Yeah, and we saw the previous athlete manage with this foothold, so I think I'm mistaken on that front. I think it's good, obviously a good height to work with your hands in this position. Yeah, maybe that is a fast move. I don't know. That seemed like a fair attempt, but we couldn't quite see how close her right hand was to the top of the next hold.
And I think a lot of the difficulty comes from the fact that the undercut that they're using in the middle of that sequence is really slopey, so they're not sort of seemingly not able to hold it in the sort of conventional way that you would expect to hold an undercut. They're more just having to push their palm up into it and then really jump out of the position.
So we're going to welcome our fourth athletes out onto the mats. Virginia Bressoloni from Italia and Yannick Chassien from Switzerland. As we see the second athlete get onto men's 2 and women's 2 respectively here in the main part of your screen.
It's really powerful rock over at the start of men's 2.
Yeah, Timotei looks competent in this style of climbing. He's looking quite comfortable on these slopers already, so you know that was a first attempt, only 30-40 seconds into his allotted time, so yeah, that's good to be going that far already. Whoa. And then Swan just failing in the upper section of that boulder.
And that was more in line with how the route setters had described it, sort of being on opposing shoulders, essentially with your arms crossed in front of you, and then having to flick out of that position.
Just a pause for thought now on women's 2 for Swan as she sets up to pull on again. And we switch our attention to Yannick from Swiss on men's 1 as he takes the zone. Oh wow, and just deciding to go again immediately, dynamically to the final move. We were told, weren't we, by Nimrod, that it would be a position you could stop in. So maybe he'll rethink that methodology for the next attempt, but let's see as we turn our focus to Swan here, reaching the top hold with one hand and with both. Wow, an excellent send there. Second go, I believe.
I think it's one of the difficulties for the climbers these days is that we've had so much dynamic climbing and coordination dynos as part of the competition scene that sometimes I think they expect it to be that way when it isn't necessarily. Yeah. So I don't know if he's trying it that way because he feels like he can't stop on that hold, or whether that's just how he thinks that you're supposed to do it.
No, yeah, that's a definite consideration, isn't it? It might mean that he doesn't even turn his attention to that as an option. Let's see. Meanwhile, back with the local athlete, Virginia Bressoloni, on women's 1. She just takes another fall with a minute left. She's just brushing the footholds. Hopefully she gets opportunity for another couple of attempts within this remaining minute. Okay, Yannick finding the zone again, not struggling with the dynamic nature of that. Whoa. And yeah, he's just coming from dynamic, powerful climbing and just going for more of it at the top of the boulder. But unfortunately, in that instance, it's not served him well.
Was close. He does have time for another attempt.
Yeah.
So we'll see if he pulls back on.
Let's see how Virginia gets on here. You know, obviously, with this being an Italian competition, seeing the Italian athletes progress to finals would be a welcome sight for everybody spectating. she's looking stable in these positions.
Yeah.
She's got a long way to go with very little time left. So yeah, unfortunately, just a zone for her, which she managed to achieve on her 5th attempt. So good to get some scores on the board. Just zones on this boulder so far, so she's in the rankings. And now we will welcome Max Jacob from Switzerland and Giorgia Zanetti, another Italian athlete. Giorgia last competed at the Youth European Cup in Soor on the 27th of April this year. And Max was on the mats only 6 days ago, on the 11th of May, at the Youth European Cup in Graz. So both of these athletes active in the competition calendar this year. And then we'll get some first look at some of our power boulders of this round, men's 3 and women's 3, as we see the sort of campus nature with the Swiss young lady on women's number 3, having to find her feet now after making those campus moves.
Yeah. Bit of a ghost match there on men's number 3. Now looking to jump up, and then this section looks like there is a small foothold in the A of Bulltopia. So yeah, it's across and then punch into the shoulder.
Meanwhile, we've had a top on women's 3, and I believe that's going to be with the time. It looks like it was first attempt. Incredible from Julia Rasmussen. First attempt and a flash for her. So putting on 59.8 points.
She's with 2 flashes, but just a zone on boulder 1. The female athletes do seem to be struggling with boulder 1, so I wonder if that is going to turn out to be one of the key boulders to secure to progress to finals.
Yeah, remember we have 8 athletes progressing to tomorrow's finals in this category, and yeah, it's a bigger field, isn't it? I mean, it's 33% bigger than it used to be, so it leaves room for people to make it through without getting anywhere near the people who qualify in first and second, no?
Yeah, but it's also a bigger field for semi-finals, so it does mean you have more people to compete against.
So that was our first top on men's 2, and yeah, honestly, with a high foot, that seemed like it wasn't in any doubt. So great to see that boulder get finished at this early stage of the competition. I wonder if this is really going to start to heat up as more of the athletes come out. Remember, we've only got 5 athletes out so far from a field of 24.
Here we have Giorgia using the lower part of the foothold, low part of the volume with the foot there to set herself up, but then coming into that black screw on for that pounce up. So we yet to see that move be done. A number of the female athletes are getting to that move, but no one's managed to do it just yet.
We're back with Bella Ryder now from Great Britain here on women's 2. She's finding the sequence.
There we go. And
brilliant.
Actually holding on to the blocker rather than the hold that the blocker is blocking, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've seen.
Is this your? Would you explain to me this ghost match? Is this your?
So where they're essentially hovering one handhold over the other and then quickly switching them.
Okay.
I guess a little bit like, you know, the tablecloth trick where you whip it off the table and all the glasses stay in place.
Yep.
I guess it's a bit like a sort of a hand move equivalent of that.
Okay.
Not how the route setters described that. So to actually cross with the right hand into the big purple hold, and then a bit of a sort of a dynamic move sideways to plant the feet onto the volume and bring the left hand into the red fiberglass.
We're just seeing a little bit of Bernard's work to secure the top there, and possibly Bella's work here to secure the top on women's 2. But in the meantime, live we will be welcoming Gal Pavel Pengov from Slovenia, Ljubljana in fact, and we will be welcoming Anina Villa Cantero from Spain. out on the first boulders.
So Aina making good progress here.
Wow, putting a real crescent in her body to keep the centre of gravity rightwards before getting that left foot established on the last of those footholds that head out left across the wall.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Are we going to get another top? Yeah, another top on men's 2.
Now some really good work here from the French athlete on women's 3, apologies. Trying to confirm where we're at in terms of attempts there, but that might well have been Swan's second go. And it is indeed, yeah. So she made the zone on her second attempt on the first boulder, and now she's topped boulders 2 and 3 on her second attempt. So, yeah. She's setting the pace really here.
And it is starting to look like boulders 2 and 3 for the women are potentially going to be the ones with a lot of tops, but we are still awaiting a top on boulder number 1 for the women. Boulder number 1 for the men, proving tricky for all the subsequent athletes after
Olivier Huisman.
Yeah.
From Swiss.
So currently the only male athlete to top boulder number 1.
Yeah, it took him 4 goes, but he got it done, didn't he? It was valiant effort. We've seen everybody else really struggling to get out to the zone.
Virginia.
Oh, this is nice, Virginia. Yeah, she's making some good moves in these blue volumes with the small skew on crimps that you can see. Just been obscured by our IFSC judge there, and she makes the match with relative ease. That's a great top for her on boulder 2. I would imagine that probably leaves the athlete out on the mats on the extreme ends of the screens. So we've still got this young man fighting with men's 3 with just 1 minute remaining. This is Timotej from Czech Republic, and then Anina from Spain here. And we still have a Slovenian athlete, Gal Pavel, fighting with men's 2, and that dynamic move out right. Yeah, maybe we can catch this camera angle. You can see how much ground he's covering there. I mean, it's a good 2 meters out to the
zone hold.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that zone hold, it's quite a good hold, and and the bit that they have left exposed is the best bit, but you do need to be quite accurate to get in there. There's quite a lot of other pink blockers all
wow, we've
clustered
just
around
seen a race to the top from it. Anina, that was terrific. That's our first top on women's 1. Just as we were focusing in on the men's competition, she was racing up the right hand side of our screens to top that boulder with a few seconds remaining.
That's a good start for her. That puts her in a good position.
So let's welcome another Italian athlete out onto the mats, Leonardo Donola in the men's category, and Anja Meyer from Austria in the women's category of this under-17s semi-finals here at Aerobia Climbing in Bergamo. So, young man from Spain just pulling on to men's 3 as we pan left across the wall and catch our first glimpse of women's 4 here.
So Nimrod described this move to us as a coordination move where you jump to that first big yellow hold, you sort of hold the swing on that and then move straight up to the zone with your left hand and hold that position before then dropping back down to the slotted hold. It looks a little bit like a crack.
So this is Max Jacob from Switzerland. making really good progress. Obviously, Long left the zone behind and working on that upper section of the boulder with 2.5 minutes or 2 minutes 50 left on the clock. Meanwhile, we'll have Bella from Great Britain fighting with women's 3.
Looking strong. One move away.
Oh, excellent. This looks like it could be a
Can
top.
she match?
Bravo.
Yeah, there
Excellent.
we go.
Really nice climbing there. So she's managed a zone on a 3rd attempt on the first boulder, followed by a top on the 2nd after 3 attempts and a top on the 3rd after 2 attempts, which puts Bella in 3rd place. Meanwhile, we have Julia Rasmussen in the women's category, working on boulder 4 out off our screens.
They're not managing to near the end of that traverse, but struggling to get his foot across. So as we move back to Anya on boulder number 1, she's just slipping off.
Do we have another match there at the top of men's 2? Yes, we do. Excellent work from Max Jacob from Switzerland. That shot him right up into 2nd place with a top in 2 attempts on boulder number 2. And his zone after 2 attempts on the first boulder. Meanwhile, Giorgia Zanetti from Italy. And she's making that with a very dynamic style to switch hands. Making the top in a mere formality. But yeah, that was quite a charismatic or more flamboyant method to climb that boulder. The rest of the athletes have found a sort of a stable way to swap hands and put themselves in a good position to go for the top with a very stable sequence. But the route setters, well, Nimrod in particular, did suggest that you would have to switch your hands in the same style.
Yeah, he said
just seen.
that was sort of how they'd done it, but that other methods probably were available.
Let's see how Bernard can get on here on the left-hand side of our screens on men's 3.
So he made it through to match on this purple hold before, but then was struggling with it sort of dropping down into the end. Okay, and he's looking for a bit more of a dynamic movement sideways. So that's got in the zone.
Nice.
Okay, and there is a bit of black tape there, which, I mean, he's come off anyway. But the route setters have done a really good job of, despite having to have a lot of boulders close together, we've seen almost no black tape really in the comp. There's been the odd bit on an arete, but
just wondering what's happened with Leonardo Donola off our screens. He was an Italian athlete that was receiving some pretty significant cheers whilst we were watching, and unfortunately he's only made the zone on that first boulder, so we didn't miss any action there. And we will welcome Gabriele Fisanotti from Italy onto the mats in the men's category, and Tia Brno-Marak from Slovenia in the women's. Sorry, Alex, you carry on.
No, it's fine. No, yeah, just saying we've, it's always nice not to have, attempts lost because someone's crossed boundary tape.
Yeah.
But there is a little bit on this wall. So if they do touch the wall, the other side of the tape, that does count as an attempt. They won't be scored any further on the boulder than they were when that infraction occurred.
So actually we have Lola Iva Salavazza from Luxembourg climbing on the first women's boulder here. Tia from Slovenia is actually the next athlete who's just waiting off screen to come on. But Gabriele will be on the first men's boulder at this time, and we have Yannick here from Switzerland fighting with men's 3.
The move into shoulder that big red fiberglass does look hard. That sort of seems to be the high point, I think, on that boulder so far, going for that move.
Ina there making the top after potentially 3 attempts. Oh no, only 2. So yeah, she was the first athlete in the women's field to top, well, the first and only athlete to top the women's slab. And now she's already secured the top of women's 2 after only 2 attempts. So that bumps her up after only attempting 2 boulders into 4th place. So this is my first look at the upper section of this boulder. We've got Swan sort of fighting with a methodology to get out left.
So this is where we were told that they would then swing back left.
And try and catch that. Wow.
Yeah.
Landing that hold in the way in which it's blocked. That'd be pretty physical. Yeah, that was amazing. Just on the bottom left corner of our screen, the Swift athlete doing the ghost match and dropping out left onto the red slopey volume without even using the purple hold. And we could just see him. We want to see that. Meanwhile, we're back actually with local athlete on men's 2.
Setting up for the second jump. Oh,
Blimey, showing some flexibility there, but I'm not sure that's going to do him any favours.
So Gabriele, will he try and stop on this hold, or no, paddle across? And I wonder if
1 minute remains for him.
Yeah, I wonder if we're going to see a lot of athletes blow some attempts on that because they've read it as a bit of a paddle dyno, where actually it's just a straightforward jump to that hold.
Virginia on women's 3 just not quite having the power to sort of campus through these small green holds that are excluded from our view by these sort of smooth cruise control unit macros, which are just blocking the use of the feet once you establish yourself above those holds. So we've just seen her pull on just off centre of our screens there, and the last attempt I saw, she was finding it particularly difficult. She's going to have another final go here, just as we avert our attention to the French athlete Swan on this boulder. No, tough.
Yeah, and those green crimps on women's 3 that are blocked by the blocked fiberglass, they're almost up inside the fiberglass.
Yeah.
So it's really it not just sort of goes out over the top, but actually kind of comes down over them in a way as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it really shrouds them, doesn't it? Yeah. And stops you gaining access to them with your feet. It's a clever use of those shapes. Oh, very close. I mean, I'm going to say close. Didn't look like he was close to holding it, but I mean,
it's quite a small hold. I think it's a hold where, you know, if they get hold of it in control, or these athletes, they're going to hold that hold pretty comfortably. But to punch to quite dynamically at the end of a swing like that, it's all of a sudden quite a bad hold.
So now, from Slovenia on women's 1, we have Tia Bernal-Barak making progress already. And on men's 1, we have Evan Lemanga from France. Well, this is a confident top, inside and win it, giving this Austrian athlete Anya plenty of rest after completing that boulder on her first attempt.
Okay, so the one success on this move we've seen, the athlete went up with their right hand, but they did have their foot higher on that black screw on. Okay.
Beautiful view of men's 1 there. The dynamic nature of it, executed beautifully by this French athlete. And wow, he's just jumping around at will on the wall. I mean, he's got 2 minutes left. The way in which he approached that didn't look like it would do him any favours to holding the hold, but he did look like a bundle of power just leaping up for that hold, that final hold.
Max Jacob having a bit of a shakeout before setting up for this jump to the crimp. It didn't look comfortable on that left-hand crimp. You can see he was just sort of dragging it with 3 fingers instead of really getting hold of it and engaging on it. But it's quite a tiring section to get into that position. A lot of swinging around without your feet, and doing one armers off 2 finger pockets. Okay, so we've got a good look at women's 3 here. These holds actually reasonably good, but really powerful. No feet. And then this left hand though, very slopey. So can she get the match? Okay. And a big reaction from the local crowd for the Italian athlete, Georgia. Okay, so we're just seeing some updated scores now. Obviously, we're quite early on in this round. That's going to be good for her.
Seems like that shot Giorgia Zanetti up into 4th place with 2 tops and 1 zone, 59.5 points. And she's trailing Julia Rasmussen of Switzerland, who's in 3rd with 68.9. And we have Bella Ryder from the Great Britain with 69.1, and finally Swan out in the lead after attempting all 4 boulders with 69.4.
I suspect as we go through the round, we're going to start to see tops on boulders 1 and 4 for the women, and they're going to be pretty significant, and that's going to start to push people who haven't done that much further down.
Imagine.
I think your chances of being in finals without topping one of those boulders is going to be reduced significantly.
So we're about to welcome Adela Bodanaska from the Czech Republic out onto women's 1. And Aristide Madri Alapartes from France. He should be joining us on men's 1. And then we're getting a beautiful replay of the top from the Slovenian athlete on women's 1 there. Only the 2nd top of this competition after Aina from Spain, who was the first athlete to manage to achieve that top. So Tia sitting in 8th position, but she's only attempted 1 boulder. So with that top, she's in contention as this competition progresses. So on women's 3, we have, women's 4, we have Virginia Bessolin from Italy. She's on the mats and just eyeing up the methodology from the ground. Meanwhile, the Spanish athlete on women's 3 is locking into a very high position on women's 3. She's looking strong in this position. I think that top should be hers. Yep, fantastic. Manages to make the match. Tops the boulder. It's another excellent execution from her very early in her allotted time.
So Virginia moving in. She's secured that penultimate hold. And these feet are really not very good.
Just as you say that,
yeah.
Left foot blows. Yeah, that's tough.
Pretty small, but she's looking good on that. She knows what she's doing, and like I say, I think that is going to be a really important boulder to top. Is number 4. Okay, and back on men's number 1. We're about to get a top, and yeah, again that was stopping on that first hold, not trying to paddle into the final crimp. So it definitely looks like that is the method.
I'm going to say this young man's called Aristide, and I do apologise if I'm pronouncing that wrong. But with that top, he's on my radar in a significant way.
Yeah.
That was an impressive top. Obviously managed to read it, as Alex had been hoping some of the athletes would, so stopping on that penultimate hold to gain some equilibrium before moving out to the final hold, and yeah, excellently executed from him with time to spare. So he's back off into isolation to rest.
Okay, and we can see on women's 4, Adela setting up for the finishing move. Oh, and that foot has popped again. That is a bad foothold.
Excuse me, we have Adela on women's 1. Women's 4, we have Virginia. Still with Virginia.
Sorry. Okay, so the last attempt for Virginia. So important top on women's 1. And Virginia with, I think, not enough time left.
Okay, we will welcome the 11th athletes for the men's and women's fields out onto the mats. Matthias Dutetre from France and Elisa Stringo from Germany. Elisa Stringo competed last in April 2025 at the Youth European Cup in Seoul, where she placed. Meanwhile, Matthias competed in Graz in Austria at the beginning of this month. Well, in fact, actually only 6 days ago at the Youth European Cup. So again, active competitors. So we have another Italian athlete out on men's 3.
Is it Gabriele?
Leonardo Donola.
My apologies.
So Leonardo's only 14 years of age, active since last year on the OFSC competition calendar. He also competed in Graz 6 days ago, where he placed 22nd. Let's see if he can climb higher in the rankings in this semi-finals or even make a finals with his performance.
Right, made it through the end of that traverse. It's just gone out of shot of camera.
Okay.
So, back to looking at women's 2. About to see a top. Excellent top for Tia. But okay, so Leonardo setting up for the finishing move.
Wow, he's
okay. Well, that I think that is, it's not quite a top, but sort of the most progress we've seen on that boulder so far.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's plenty of time left on the clock as Georgia is setting up for the finishing part of women's number 4. I think she's not quite figured this out.
No. Needing to drop out and left, you know, sort of down and left in some fashion. I mean, we saw one of the female athletes sort of clawing with her left toe and hoping to sort of gain some purchase with a toe hook, right? But I don't think that can work. Or
I think it leads you into a bit of a dead end. The handholds on that boulder are actually pretty good. They're pretty big, but the footholds are range from non-existent to really bad.
So Max Jacob here from Switzerland on men's 4. This is the first close-up look we've had at this boulder. Effectively the men's slab boulder.
This was described to us as a new school slab into a traditional slab.
So we're expecting slow and tentative moves, are we now?
Yeah.
On the very poor holds.
Yeah, very poor holds. Proper 2-finger crimping going on there.
Has he got a thumb opposing it? Is he sort of pinching it a bit, or?
Okay. Looks like a really tenuous foot placement. You can see that foothold's been,
oh, wow,
been blocked in a way, so it just makes it hard for you to guide your foot in. Okay, so
meanwhile, Leonardo looking strong in this position.
Yeah.
Let's see if he can improve on his last attempt, which saw him here. Can he make the top of this boulder? Oh, just out of shot with the camera there. We couldn't see how close he was on the hold. It didn't look like he.
Looks like he's going again though.
Yeah, 28 seconds. Oh, not much margin for error here now. 20 seconds left. Okay,
nice.
Using a toe hook there. Nice technique to sort of control this and make it less powerful. Only 13 seconds left now as he's finished the initial traverse and gained the zone again. He's really going to have to move quickly if he wants to close this boulder.
Oh, this would be great if he did it.
Well, yeah, just a little bit short on time there, even if he had it in the tank to complete the boulder. Yeah, that's a shame, but I mean, he's given a great account of himself on that boulder, and even if he doesn't make finals, he could be particularly happy with his progress, I think. Nothing decided yet, though.
We were talking earlier about the change from the 4+ to the 4 dead method. I suspect some of these athletes are not old enough to remember the 4+ method, but yeah, that would have been a good one for 4+. Would have given them a bit more time to try it.
So we are now walking out onto the mats. Nadja Izak from Slovenia and Alexander Nar from Austria on the first boulders of their categories. Both competed in Graz 6 days ago. And they're here now at Orobia Climbing in Bergamo for this Youth European Championships in the under-17 category. So, for the men, we have Alexander, whom I've just announced, on men's 1. We have Gabriele fighting with men's 3. We have Gal Pavel fighting with men's 4. And we have Aristide from France fighting with men's 2. And meanwhile, Czech athlete Adela has managed to climb women's 2 in quick fashion, as we have a good look at women's 3 with this athlete from Luxembourg already establishing herself high in the boulder with plenty of time left. And we have seen this finale, this final move, go pretty steadily, although there was a little bit of insecurity there before her left hand closed on that hold. But yeah, topped beautifully. I'm sure Lola from Luxembourg is pretty happy with that. That's her second top of the competition.
We did have Aina from Spain, was high up on boulder number 4, out of shot now. I think I could just see her feet. Oh, there we go, look at that. Camera's panned across just in time. So she's secured the zone on that, but struggling with the move across into the sort of crack-like hold. But she is currently sitting in quite a good position, having topped the first boulder.
Like to see what Gabriele Fisanotti can do on men's 3. He's just secured 2 zones so far. So only 19.5 points to his name. See if he can make as much progress as the previous athlete. Just 1 minute remains for all of these athletes out on the mats at this time, as Gabriele sort of powers into the zone and sets up for the next pounce to the upper section of climbing here. Seems to have that crimp in good fashion, just adjusting on it before making the move underneath, crossing underneath, and now he's going to have to come out to this sloper with his right hand, which really does not have much to offer him in return for his movement up the wall.
Oh, here we go. This is pretty important. Can Aina get the match? Oh, so close. Can she get that foot inside?
Anya's close there. She
Yeah.
really needs to tuck up. Maybe that's
go
enough.
Go on.
Oh, that was excellent footwork.
Yeah.
Excellent footwork, but it didn't quite serve her as well as I thought it might.
I think that had she been able to top that, that would have given her a top on all 4 boulders.
Oh, frustrating.
So she's currently sitting in first place with 3 tops and a zone on the 4th boulder.
So let's welcome out another Italian athlete, Emiliano Zingarini. And in the women's, we will welcome Yeva Stennikova from Ukraine. On the extreme right of your screens. Again, both of these athletes competed in Graz in the Youth European Cup earlier this month. And we focus in on the boulders in the centre of the wall. Okay, so we're back with Leonardo, and he is now on the 4th and final boulder in the men's semi-finals of this under-17 European Youth Championships. We have people active on all 8 boulders on the wall at this time, so we'll just move around, focusing on the action.
And are we going to get a top on men's free? No, not quite. But that was possibly the first attempt for that athlete. Still got 2 minutes 40 left on the clock.
We've just had another top and a flash on men's 2 from Evan, not Evan, I do apologise, from Matthias Duterre. We have Duterre from France.
Emiliano, another Italian athlete on men's number 1. Struggling a bit with this first move.
Athlete Yeva from Ukraine, just creating that crescent with her body to try and make the foot match. Dropping the right hand off, that looked promising, just to remain in balance. I mean, her next goal is to establish her weight out on the left foot, on the small dome, underneath the big circular shaped macro, which is dead in front of her.
Okay,
she's finding a method to do that. Wow, this is looking really tenuous, but she's managing well. Yep, she's managed to stay in balance, and now all of a sudden she's become a little bit more comfortable and confident in her body language. That looked very close to being an unsuccessful attempt, but she's managed to stay with it, and she's managed to land the next hold. So it looks like she'll climb to the top here with relative ease, and wow, that is great work with just outside a minute remaining. So congratulations to her. Great start to her competition.
Evan, back on to men's number 3. He was very close to the top of this.
He's looking really bouncy, isn't he? Look at that. Bags of power to spare.
Yeah.
How is he on the fingers? Yeah, looking comfortable on those crimps.
Can he be the first athlete to top this boulder?
Oh, it's
not quite.
We need a little wider camera angle just so we can see that top hold as he's moving towards it. It's not that far off, is it? But it's a sort of blade crimp, but you're really going to need to engage on it to hold your body weight because you're losing both feet. You've got a left-hand crimp that you're going to maintain contact with.
I think part of the difficulty is that the left-hand crimp is really vertical, and the position that it's in on that volume, as you gain that much height on it, it's going to really twist your wrist. It's quite hard to sort of keep contact with it. It's possibly even almost a bit past vertical, so almost like slightly undercutted, and it's sort of poked around the corner of that volume. So yeah, it is, as you gain that much height, it's going to be hard to hold on to. So that boulder's still awaiting the top. There's still plenty more athletes to come.
Yep, we've just welcomed Iloué Sherif Michel from France out onto the mats on the far side of your screen on women's 1. And then we have Lovro Tomazin from Slovenia. He's out on men's 1. And meanwhile on women's 2, we have some great progress here. And we've seen this boulder going down more often than not now. Sort of feel like this is maybe one of the easier ones for the athletes to approach. So even though with the volumes it looked particularly complicated to read, the athletes are finding enough in reserve to work it out during the climb. And there we see another top.
Della managing to find the foothold underneath that volume.
Oh, this looks good. Oh yeah, very comfortable to the top. And placing the heel to match. Yeah, excellent. That's the most comfortable top I've seen. Brava. So yeah, boulders are getting sent and the athletes are vacating the mats, and meanwhile we have 2 minutes 20 seconds left for the remaining athletes to work with. Gabriele looking for his first top. He's just managed to secure zones so far in this competition. And he's on his last boulder with only 39.1 points to his name after getting the zone on that fourth and final boulder. Let's see what he can do with his last remaining time on the mats.
Boulder number 4 for the men looking to be a difficult one. I think we are still awaiting a top on number 3 and number 4 for the men.
Meanwhile, our competition leader here on men's 3, he's made the zone in his first attempt. And now he's powering up into the upper section of this boulder, really trying to find enough strength in the tank so he can close the boulder.
You can see the angle of that left hand as he goes up. It's sort of really awkward.
Yep. Looks like he's going to give it a brush and give it another attempt. Whoa, Gabriele, that was he looked stable quite high on the wall there, but then just momentary loss of equilibrium and he's off. So, yeah, frustrating attempt with not so much time left to his name. This being his last boulder of the competition. There we see this move on men's 1 and how much ground you've got to cover. Oh, wow. Just not maintaining that cup over the top of the hold with the right hand. You know, we refer to that as a guppy in English. I'm not sure what it is in your native language, but when you wrap the top of any hold, really, with the heel of your hand and the part with which you might chop at something is closest to the wall. And yeah, you're sort of pinching in a different fashion, I suppose, using the back edge of your hand, the sort of blade of your hand to gain as much, put as much skin on the hold and gain as much friction. We saw him just slide straight off that. So let's welcome Moreno Gigliardi from Switzerland onto the maps, and Mara Matjanovic from Croatia. Mara immediately brushing the holds, you know, on this slab boulder, you know, conditions being so important on those footholds, and, you know, many athletes having been out on the mats now. Only 9 athletes remain. Mara is the 15th female competitor in this under-17s semi-finals. And we have a very strong-looking performance here on men's 2 from this Italian athlete in front of us in the center of the screen. Emiliano looking for a top here. Matching comfortably. Yeah, big roar from Emiliano. He's happy with that. After a frustrating start in the first boulder, just gaining the zone, he's happy to secure a top. I think he knows that will mean something. In fact, that's going to throw him up into the top 8 immediately.
But I think boulder number 2 is going to be one that you have to do. I think that's looking like the boulder for the men that has seen the most tops.
Sorry, that's throwing him into the top 10.
But I think having not been able to get the top on boulder 1 might start to punish him later, as I think we're about to see a top on men's number 1.
Yeah, you're sure about that, aren't you? I mean, once you stick that left hand,
yeah, that does seem to be the key. Is not trying to paddle out of it.
Yeah, as long as you're engaged on that last hand and you're not sort of really dragged and struggling to adjust, I think you've got the potential to finish it every time now.
it is a reasonable hold. It again, it's just the fact that it's such a big jump to it.
Wow, again, that crescent shape, just keeping... Yeah, I love the shapes that these athletes have to cut on this boulder. It's really cool to sort of watch them move their centre of gravity from right to left to work across leftwards on this boulder.
We've seen a number of athletes look to really sort of be struggling and fighting on this bit, but then actually to make quite good progress.
Yeah.
It does seem to be a boulder that you pretty much can just fall off at any point on it.
Yeah. Up into this pounce, for sure. Oh, this is a very stable method with the low foot.
Yeah.
And it's not, she's not fallen short of the hold there, so that didn't restrict her.
No.
I wondered if she would make the distance for that move, but yeah, didn't look in any doubt once she'd moved to it. You know, there was margin there to play with. Excellent. Different footwork and another top on women's one.
Can we see the first top on men's number 3?
Good question.
40 seconds left, so plenty of time, but probably not for more than this attempt.
Come on, Mathis, we're rooting for you. We'd like to see you close this boulder like you have done the past 2. We sympathise with your left hand
here,
but we want to...
Come on.
Oh, that was the closest effort so far, I believe. Yeah,
that was good. Looked like he didn't really hit that last hold properly.
No. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe that left hand is just too inclined.
And will we see the first top on women's number 4? Oh.
Yeah, she put a little bit of weight through that momentarily.
Just as she was setting up for that last move was just when the beeps from the buzz of the countdown started, which must be
got to distract you, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's got to be off-putting.
Yeah,
sets you into panic mode.
Right, let's see what Matteo Tranquilli from Italy can do out on the mats as he steps out for his first boulder, and Eva Skrlec from Slovenia, she will step out to tackle women's one. All the athletes get involved with the brushing, make sure their boulders are as prepared as they can be for their first attempts. These flash attempts can be particularly important, maybe not as important as they have been in previous years. And we're just going to have athlete called off the mats for a dab outside of the territory of her boulder, I believe.
Yeah, so that was where her left foot touched the wall just to the left of the black tape, so that puts her out of bounds. So you can touch the wall inside the black tape, but you can't touch any of the wall past it. And she's done it again, and the judge is coming straight back in.
Incredibly frustrating for her there.
Yeah.
Oh wow, not seen many people fall off in that upper section there, but French athlete trying the dynamic method, and yeah, just not landing the holds in good fashion. So plenty of time on the clock though for her to have another good go at that.
So can we see a Slovenian athlete there? Very careful with that foot placement then.
Yeah.
So she's now into this campus section.
That's good for her to get going in a good fashion now.
Yeah, that's good composure to, you know, have a couple of false starts, but not let it get to you. Just regain your focus, get back on the boulder, and secure the zone. So I think she can probably top this.
Yeah, she really plumb-lined her body, didn't she, to make sure that foot didn't skate outside of the zone that's allowed for her boulder, you know, signified by that black tape cutting down the green section of wall.
These boulders really test everything, not just the physical elements, but also some of the mental, and keeping your composure on these moves, keeping your focus is really important. So it is difficult when you get something like that doesn't go your way.
Avoro just from Slovenia just exploding off men's 2 there. And meanwhile, Aristide from France looking well set for the top move, but yeah, just a little tremble before I spoke, and he was off.
Adela setting up here, and I think There we go.
Wonderful.
I think that is the first top on
100%.
that boulder.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that, I think, is going to put her straight into first place in the current rankings.
Yep,
Yeah.
clean sheet for Adela.
Yeah. 99.3. So
Yeah.
it's just dropped a little bit on attempts, but I'd be extremely surprised if she is not in finals. I think that's secure.
Yeah. So we're still missing a top on this men's 3 and men's 4 as well.
It looks like a really difficult foot placement on men's 4. That seems to be the bit where they're struggling.
What, the ultimate in the last phase?
Yeah, just
Okay.
placing that right foot out to the tiny little foothold that has been blocked with a little dual-tech screw on. So you can see it here. So the blocker sticks out a bit further than the foothold, so it makes it a bit blind and hard to place. And it wasn't a very big foothold to start with.
Yeah, we've still got a field of athletes to come out. Another 8 from the 24 that qualified for these semi-finals of the under-17 categories of this European Youth Championships here in the Aerobia climbing gym in Bergamo. Beautiful gym, lots of lead climbing, top rope climbing, and some incredible bouldering walls for you to enjoy if you are in the area and you fancy stopping by in the future.
Let's replay the Italian athlete there. Oh, and boulder number 3 for the women, providing a lot of dabs just past the black tape. So the athlete being called off there again by the judge. Judge is getting a good workout, essentially doing shuttle runs to the boulder, and I think so. The male athlete on boulder number 3 possibly did the same.
This is
okay,
Emiliano
yeah.
Zingarini.
So he's off anyway, so made no difference.
So his compatriot Matteo Tranquilli has managed that first boulder, which we saw him climb in 4 attempts. And meanwhile, we have Ida from Bulgaria here finding her balance before progressing to the upper section of this first women's boulder. And from Ukraine, we have a top on women's 3. Excellent, looked a bit relieved there, probably a bit frustrated by the being called off the boulder, I would imagine.
Yeah.
You always feel like you've just thrown something away, but ultimately it's part of the game, isn't it? And
yeah.
She could have equally had a foot slip, and it's a very similar mistake. So
Elisa setting up for the difficult transition leftwards. Okay, she's actually looking like she might be able to do that, but I think it'd be really difficult to then match, because when you push up into that position, the right foot is just sliding downhill.
Oh, lost the right foot there.
Always nice for the route setters when you see a bunch of athletes trying to cheat a boulder but being unsuccessful.
Validating your hard work.
Yeah.
Come on, Emiliano. We want another successful send from an Italian athlete here on Italian soil. Let's see you do some damage in this. We close in on the last minute of your attempts on this boulder.
Oh, that was not sure if he was going to get called off for that.
Oh, he's not shy about doing it the powerful method, is he?
No.
Yeah. I'll be looking out for him in the Coppa Italia rounds in the future. There's a very competitive boulder circuit here in Italy every year, which is made up by 3 rounds at different gyms across the country, organised by the Federation of Sport Climbing here, FASI. So yeah, an incredible calendar for boulder and in the junior categories, and then also for lead and for speed. So yeah, Italy, a nation that really enjoys competitive climbing in all disciplines and makes a concerted effort to organise phenomenal competitions throughout the year. Okay, only 8 seconds left on the clock for both of these athletes, and they don't really look in a position to complete. But this young man does. Oh, and just out of time. And I mean, it seems like a hard top, that boulder. We've not seen it topped. It's the last of the men's 4. And as Alex was saying, the footwork necessary seems to be very prohibitive, you know, and it's stopping them making a stable effort towards that last hold.
It does look as well like the last hold you have to push into the bottom of it. So ultimately you can't push into the bottom of a hold very well without a foothold. So you are going to have to get that foot across.
So we'll welcome Javier Sekiam from Team GB and Carolina Garadisci from Brescia here in Italy. So just 45 minutes east from here. This is a very local competition for Carolina. She will definitely have some friends and family in the building. And let's see how she can start her competition, although she is on the extreme right of your screens. Wow. Javier from Team GB having a really good effort at the final hold on his first attempt there inside the first minute. And now we are just seeing another top in the men's category, this time on boulder number 2 from the Italian athlete Matteo Tranquilli. He has managed to climb the first boulder in 4 attempts and now flashes men's 2. So Matteo's going to be strutting back to isolation with some serious confidence after completing that boulder inside of a minute and a half. Iloé from France, looking good in this position. Not really engaging the pinch so much there, but she's managed. And she has this penultimate edge. Let's see if she changes her feet. No. Oh. Chose to just leave. I mean, that seemed a little bit lazy, that, really. Or just felt very confident and didn't think she needed to change her feet, but
a bit rushed, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit too casual. I was about to say we've not really seen anyone drop the last move.
Yeah. Naya looking very close there on that upper move.
So Javier has been trying this sort of paddle method. Again, it's frustrating because I think if he was to try just jump into that hold, I think he probably would be able to do it. Trains a lot in London, loads of climbing walls there and lots of dynos, so he's looking very comfortable on the first part.
So the women's competition is a little bit higher scoring than the men's, but good competitive competition with difficult boulders. I feel like the route setters have got the level just right here.
Yeah.
Completely fresh set of boulders for these under 17 athletes.
It'd be good to see. We're still wanting to see a top on men's number 3 and men's number 4. But the athletes are getting really close.
Yeah, we're here with Alexander from Austria. Yeah, you're right. I mean, he looked very good, but then no chance of placing the foot in a good fashion.
Looks really hard to turn the hips out. You see a lot of the athletes, when they're trying to place that right foot, it's as if they've got their leg in sort of more of a drop knee position. I think just the shapes that your body is throwing and your hips being pushed leftwards makes it really hard to turn that right knee out to place that foot. So, a real sort of mobility boulder.
So meanwhile with Lavaux from France.
Okay, is she going to be a little bit more composed on this last move?
No, she's out of time. She won't. Surely won't receive that. No. Super frustrating. I honestly, feel like that boulder should have been topped by her on the previous attempt. So yeah, that's tough lines.
Yeah. Well, she looked frustrated about it.
Whoa.
That is a fierce match there.
We're just going to see the
with
flash
one
here,
finger.
Oh, sorry. Just seeing the replay of the flash there on boulder number 2 from the Italian athlete Mattias. No. Where are you, young man?
Okay, and we're seeing a replay of Javier. So he did manage to top men's number 1. So that's great. We didn't. That was off our screens, I think, when it happened.
Wow, all athletes getting really stuck into their boulders all at once there. So we've seen a flash on men's 1. We might see a flash on women's 1. Women's 2, sorry. Sorry, women's 2. Men's 2.
Yeah, I think particularly as we move down into the higher placed athletes, women's 2 and men's 2. We're seeing, and are we going to see the first top on men's number 3?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Moreno, bravo.
Okay.
Swiss athlete, very pleased with that.
Excellent.
Any replay material of that send would be very much appreciated. We want the widest camera angle as possible so that we can see him hit each hold, but on that.
And we just saw in the corner of the screen.
Here we go.
Yep, so he's setting up and he just catches it and the left hand rips. And I could see, after he dropped off, we could see in the corner of the screen the chief route setter, Andy, looking over to his left at one of the other route setters and shaking his fist. So yeah, great, he's happy.
Excellent.
The route setters, they always want these boulders to be topped. Obviously their job is to separate the athletes and provide a result, and that you can't do that without people falling off. But ultimately, they always want boulders to be climbed.
Yeah, it's an incredibly rewarding process for those guys. I mean, they've been here since last Saturday, so they're already 8 days into this competition. And we've had a giant qualification series for each age category on Thursday and Friday. And watching these athletes compete at a good competitive level and watching them separated by, fair scores, given their outputs, must be a very rewarding sort of return on all of that invested work from last Saturday till now.
Yeah, I always sort of think that, that route setting it's almost like their form of competing. They have to be in shape to be able to test these boulders. They have to train for it. They work hard for it. And then they put it all on the line in one competition. So I guess there's a lot of parallels with the athletes. And the route setters shift will finish late tonight as they get everything ready for tomorrow. They've got to take all these boulders off, put all the finals on, and make any changes that they deem necessary based off the results of this round. Okay, and looking at women's number 4 here. I thought we might about to be seeing another top. Just couldn't quite move the foot up.
Okay, so we'll have Or Mark from Israel stepping out onto the mats as the 20th man to join us in this competition. And the 20th woman will be Olivia Kistmacher from Germany, which leaves only 4 athletes remaining in each category. Wow, incredible flash to that zone hold there for the Israeli athlete. Ilue looking good in this position. not really reading the best way to get out left in the first instance. Yeah, she's getting the swing going now. Oh, and choosing to drop down with the left hand. You think that method could work?
That is how most athletes have done that move. That does seem to be the way. It seems to be that a lot of them try to set up to somehow squirm up and avoid that. But none of them have managed to successfully do that yet.
Wow. Yeah, another controlled top there from Eva. Excellent. Let's review her rankings as she closes that boulder. So Iloe still working on women's 4, just out of sight on the right-hand side. Eva with a second top. So she's still down in 12th with only 59.9 points, so she could really do with something on boulder number 4 if she wants to qualify for the finals of this competition.
Matteo being called off by the judge, I think for, again, just the foot over the line as he set up for this move.
Nice, no problems there. We just saw his right foot make contact with the wall, but it was on the left-hand side of the black tape. And then we've got a split screen with Iloe. And she's on women's boulder on the left-hand side, which now gives us full screen. Oh.
Yeah. She's not quite getting the weight over the left foot. Okay, so now we see all with the top on boulder number 1. It's taken him a few goes, but he's got the top.
Yeah, it's nice to see several methods through this lower section, but yeah, some of them are more strenuous and less likely than others, I think.
It looks to be a really draining boulder as well. So to have to do that really difficult top section after having had several tries on the start, it's going to be really hard.
Wow, nice. Fast, powerful action from this athlete from Italy. Not finding that foothold. Wonder if he'll change his method here, or if he's just going to, I think he's going to go at it like a bull out of a gate.
Yeah.
You know, for his last attempt.
Unfortunately, I don't think he's gonna get it.
Iloe's got enough time here.
Just rushing. I think rushing more than she needs to, maybe, but possibly also struggling to really get the weight over that left foot. It is a bad foothold, and that might be. I know I keep saying that, but it is still a bad foothold. It's not changed. So
no.
I think that's possibly why she's not getting the weight right over it. It just feels hard to really push into it. Okay, and a replay of Javier on his top.
Meanwhile, as these seconds descend on the next athletes stepping out, we will have another Italian athlete, Andrea Ludovico Cileres. He will be joining us in the men's competition, and Ida Stapelberg from Germany will be joining us to compete with these young women in this under-17s category. Explosive finish to that boulder. The dynamic method has worked.
Yeah, for the first time, I think.
Needing some real coordination on both of those movements.
And a lot of finger strength to sort of power into that crimp at that speed.
This first go that we're seeing on women's 3 is looking very promising. The one that's underneath the unit banner. The green holds from Mattia Azizi. This is looking very strong, yeah. Fancy her chances at the top here, as long as she doesn't make the mistake with her feet that we've seen from previous attempts. Oh wow, trying a heel. That stands her in good stead to close this. Yeah, brilliant. Ida Hertzkova. Yeah, brava. That was confident. That was a flash. Let's just check. She's managed that on her second attempt, actually. She must have had an earlier go.
German athlete looking very composed on women's number 1. And are we about to see first top on men's 4? I think perhaps not. Camera cut away. Just
Moreno
up for the move. Okay, yeah, and a very, very smooth top there.
Moreno from Switzerland has managed to top all 3 boulders, and then he's zoned after his second attempt on this final boulder for men. And I really hope we can see him do some work in the upper section of the boulder and maybe finish it.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of the male finalists getting in with 2 tops.
Yep, looks that way for now.
Yeah, boulders 3 and 4 proving to be pretty difficult. But it is nice for the route setters to see exactly where the level is. That's quite important, because then they'll take that into account moving forward as they put finals back on. They can make any necessary changes based on how they think the athletes have done in this round.
So Moreno, familiar territory for him. He's already held the zone. He springs up to this very small stacked sort of crimp with his left hand. Looking stable here. Can he drag the toe out into position? Wow. Yep, he was in the right vicinity, and he was even in the right location, but then putting load through that right foot just proved out of reach.
Yeah, it's 40 seconds left on the clock, so it's enough time if you straight back on, but not loads.
Andrea here fighting with boulder 1. Still yet to take that zone home with him.
Okay, Moreno back up.
He's made fast work of that start, hasn't he then?
Yeah. I think that's probably it for him.
The crowd are giving him so much energy. You can hear them in the background screaming for him to pull back on again.
But tactically, probably wouldn't be the best decision, as I think he's pretty secure.
Yeah, with those 3 tops, I don't think there's any doubt. Might even find himself in the lead going into the finals.
Yeah, currently the only athlete to top men's number 3.
So, let's welcome Mayan Bauer from Israel and Lou Auclair from France. Both of whom have competed this year. Lou in both the European Cup in Graz this month and the European Cup in Soor in April.
Okay, and that's already a top in less than 30 seconds on men's number 2.
And keep your eyes on the corner of your screen, see how Lou can do. She actually placed first in Graz. She took the win there, and that was only 6 days away, so she's on form. Let's see what she can do in this competition. Mayan Bauer from Israel, yeah. Like we've seen performance across all age categories from the Israeli team. Really strong top there from him. So, and then Carolina here from Italy. Yep, looking very comfortable there. Okay. Very positive and mental attitude.
Javier setting up for the top of men's 3. Can he be the second athlete to top this? Not on that go, but plenty of time. I wonder if that is his first attempt. First or maybe second. 2.5 minutes left. Okay, and okay. Slovenian Eva on the top of women's number 4. Can she get the match? Yes, she can.
Bravo. Nice.
And that's going to bump her right up the rankings. I mean, currently in 6th before that anyway. Now she's in 2nd place, so I think her place in the finals is pretty secure.
Lou Auclair must be on her 2nd or 3rd attempt here. She's already had the zone now, and she progresses past it. Yeah. playing with those two different options of feet, and she's actually moved static up to that penultimate hold. Excellent climbing from her. I mean, we said she's on form, and she does look like it here today. So Javier Sekyam from the UK, just swinging his arms, getting some blood moving, assessing the situation for his next attempts on boulder number 3. Would like to see that boulder get topped for a second time. Yeah. Be nice to add that to our highlight reel from this competition.
It's got a lot quieter out on the mats all of a sudden. There's a lot of the athletes have topped.
So Matteo has 2 tops, and then no score on the 3rd boulder, not even the zone. He has the zone on this boulder, men's number 4 already, after his 5th attempt. So he must be, sorry, after his 3rd attempt, so he must be on his 4th or 5th attempt now.
Javier looking pretty tired on that.
Yeah, out of gas there, big deep breath. Still got time on the clock, but he's not tempted to even give it another go.
But even just the zone on that boulder is pretty significant. A lot of the guys have struggled to zone on it.
22 seconds left here for Matteo.
Can he get this right foothold?
Come on, Matteo, let's hope it fits you. Oh, die. Immediately, foot pop with the left. That's a shame, and he's out of time. Yeah, he's still sitting in 5th despite not topping that boulder. I think there are more athletes to come, but he's got a strong chance of qualifying. Let's just see what happens. Meanwhile, we've got replays on your screen, and we will welcome in the background Adrian Katan from Austria to the mats. And in the women's category, we will welcome Paula Meyer Vogelfelder from Germany. Yeah, that looked like a very comfortable climb.
It does look like the difficulty on that move is gaining the height. So moving out from the lower position to get the weight over the foothold. A lot of the athletes, once they've got that height, they've managed to do it.
Oh, we're getting another call off here.
Yeah. That judge certainly getting a good workout.
Yeah, I mean, with this many boulders and this many age categories, you know, we really have to squeeze these boulders into the climbing gym. And although Orobia is a massive climbing gym with an excellent bouldering facility, you know, we're still trying to get 8 boulders across one section of wall, leaving room for another 8 boulders in another area of wall for the other age categories. So, yeah, you're always going to find boulders in close proximity.
Yeah, and I think the route setters have done a really good job as well of, like, you know, all these boulders there. It's not like it's not squeezed climbing. There's lots of, I mean, a lot of sideways jumping and, you know, lots of movement being thrown in.
Yeah, thanks for the route setting to Andy Matuska, who's been our chief here from Austria. A beautiful set of boulders in all of the semi-finals we watched today, and he says we've only got more beautiful boulders in store for you in the finals coming tomorrow. So if you've enjoyed watching this and you're invested in any of these athletes, please do join us for the finals, which will be held tomorrow, Sunday the 18th of May, here at Orobia Climbing in Bergamo.
Okay, so are we going to see the first top on this men's 4? Not just yet.
This German athlete managing to stay very straight, yet in balance, not having to adopt the sort of crescent body posture on the wall to, you know, counterbalance the progress of her hands across leftwards, you know. Maybe that's what's done her a disservice there on that attempt. And meanwhile here on men's 1, Adrian absolutely crushing the top of that boulder. He looks full of energy. Yeah. Back off into isolation with a big smile on his face, and I'm sure he'll be out to do business on boulder number 2 with some serious conviction after that.
Ida fighting on women's number 4.
Yeah, this looks really tricky. I do not fancy being in that position. It's
and I think, apologies, if
please.
Like,
yes,
men's number 4, Tom Dufresne.
Grazie mille, Tom.
Yeah, there we go.
Merci.
So that is it. All the boulders have been topped.
Awesome.
And that is the first top on that boulder.
I'm glad you caught that out of your corner of your eye. Yeah, so he loaded the foot well. Let's see. Let's hope we can get a replay in between the attempts. Not to detract from the action on your screens, but that's a significant top from Tom from France
and it
on men's
like
4.
And a fight to the end. It wasn't like he got the foot out and then it was over. Even the match was hard.
So wow, that shot Tom up into 5th position. Didn't find a top on number 1, and he didn't find a top on number 3 either. But he did flash boulder number 2 for men. You'd hope with that.
So we've got a bit of a replay going on. You can see he's got that foot on. He's got the hips turned out, and you can see he's happy with that.
Yeah, big roar as he makes the match. I wonder if that was a try-hard roar, or if he knew he'd held it raw. It was a roar nonetheless. Looks very pleased with himself there, and so he should be. We're really pleased that he's managed to top that boulder. Just focusing in on those pink slopers. So we have our last athletes of this semi-finals of the under-17 category here at the European Youth Championships at Arobia in Bergamo. Jakoba Rauter from Austria and Itamar Harel from Israel. They are off your screen on the extreme right of the wall as we focus on Lou Auclair from France, who was successful on her first attempt on the first boulder, and it looks like she might be repeating that form here on the second boulder. Actually, the first boulder took her 3 attempts. I do apologise. Only 1 attempt needed on that second. I have a lasting memory of how comfortably she climbed that first boulder, and I was deluded that it was her first attempt. It was actually her 3rd. So
it is a boulder that we have started to see a lot more tops on as we've progressed through.
Yep.
But yeah, it is one that provided a lot of difficulty for the athletes in the first half of the field.
Still no flashes on that boulder, so it's obviously proving a hard one to execute on the first go. And as I speak, we have our first flash. Brava. Jakoba Rauter, she has managed to flash the first boulder. She spent a good amount of time on that block.
Impressive ghost match on the pocket there from Allmark. He's looking strong on this.
He's climbing like he's got no time left.
Yeah.
He's climbing like there's 10 seconds on the clock. He's just blasting through this. Wow. It served him well right up into the last move, and then
he's holding his elbow there. Hope he's okay.
Putting out too much power.
Yeah, he doesn't look comfortable.
He needs to think pink. I remember the guy who mentored me in climbing when I was young said that it's a good tactic, especially on routes, to only put out as much as you need to rather than overpowering stuff. That makes very good sense on route climbing, but also, yeah, why not in bouldering? I mean, if you've got so much power in store, you don't need to over crank on these things.
Yeah.
You don't want people injuring themselves.
Using a very powerful sequence at the start.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen a lot of athletes actually. There are ways that they can use their feet.
Oh, Carolina looking good
straight through. Okay, and Javier on the slab as well.
Carolina just dropped out to that slot in beautiful fashion. Unfortunately, her left foot's just gone there.
Can Javier not even looking at the footholds actually there? Kind of looked like he was a bit unsure of what to do.
So Carolina, the local Italian athlete, sitting in 11th at the moment, and just out of time on that boulder. It would have been incredibly important for her to top it on that occasion, and unfortunately with that foot pop she's not had the opportunity to close the boulder, and she's out of time. So she won't be progressing to finals with the scores as they stand, and she can't do anything to change that. There's only a couple of athletes that might be able to shoot themselves up the ranking, and those are the two who were last to the party, Jakoba Rauter and Paula Meyer-Vorfelder.
Jakoba with that, the one and only flash on women's number 1. So we did have one female athlete with a flash of every boulder in the previous round in the under-21s. So let's see if we can have one in this one. Jakoba currently the only athlete who would still be able to achieve that.
So we have an Italian athlete getting called off on men's 3. He didn't score on the first boulder, Andrea Ludovico Cilieres, but he did flash the second boulder, and he's now getting his teeth stuck into number 3 on the far left of your corner.
Oh.
Meanwhile, Adrian struggles to make the close to the second men's boulder.
Yeah, kept his feet low, so we've generally seen that for the match the men are bringing the left foot up onto the zone holds, whereas he kept it quite low. But I think we're about to get a top from Rafael Kazbakova, Ukraine, on women's number 4. Wow. So that's gonna be great for her. I think
she was previously in 9th, and that's got to shoot her up into finals.
Yeah, 4th place.
So we had 2 German female athletes on the wall at the same time, and they both just closed their boulders in very calm fashion. And now we have Matti Azizi from Israel. See if he can find the sequence on this section.
Different hand position. And
yeah.
Oh, it looks like that might have helped him to move the
lovely
foot.
Nice.
There we go.
Yeah, so there is a sequence to that. Like that's allowed him the opposing sort of Gastons.
Yeah, that's the foot. So that's the second top on that move. But with the footage that we've had on our screen, that's the first time we've seen the setup to place the foot. So I wonder if that is the same method that the other athlete used.
Adrian there crushing the final moves of his boulder, men's 2. Walking off the mats to take full advantage of the extra rest he'll get. Meanwhile, Andrea here on men's 3 could really do with doing something.
It's a really cool move, this. The little swing over and kind of a lot going on all at the same time. Move the feet, move the hands, sort of all in one motion whilst falling sideways.
Vai Andrea. Vai.
Okay, and he's looking for a different sequence at the start.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah, why not?
I think because it looks like it might not work.
Yeah, well. Come on, Andrea, prove Alex wrong. Oh, beautiful lock.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I mean, given more, yeah, like you said,
I think
4 minutes just closes the door on so many options,
yeah.
you know, because they're just too low percentage or you need too much time to work them out.
I mean, he was pretty good through this section on his first go.
Yeah. Get a good kick off that red volume, Andrea. Oh, nice.
There we go. Unfortunately, I think he is out of time. 13 seconds left on the clock.
Not enough to progress into the upper section of that boulder, or even to land the final move of that sequence from right to left. So 10 seconds before the athletes step out onto the mats for another time. We'll just catch a replay of the first of the German female tops in that round of attempts. So first that was Paula Meyer. Now we have her compatriot topping her boulder.
And the replay of men's number 4 with that top.
Wonder if we'll get any more athletes reading it in the same fashion and managing to close that final men's boulder.
I think we're going to see a lot of tops in this first 3 minutes. First minute, sorry. So with 3 minutes left.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's her second flash, is it not?
Yeah, and we've got 2 athletes off the mats already.
So Jakob is on for the clean sheet.
Yeah.
2 boulders, 2 flashes. Excellent work.
Yeah, so my prediction is probably a flash on women's 3, but the key one is women's 4.
Yeah, the yellow holds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, women's 3 with the campus, I think will. Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen it. We have seen flashes on that already, and I think that's 2 and 3, the women's boulders that have had by far the most tops.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Julia from Swiss, Carolina from Italy, both flashed that boulder. Yeah. And also Elisa from Germany. So yeah, 3 flashes on women's 3 already. So yeah, you'd fancy her chances.
Yeah. But a flash on women's 4 would be particularly impressive.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, this is such an awkward position. Anybody who drops out left, I've got the utmost respect for, let alone closing the boulder.
And are we about? We might about to see another top on men's 3. Also a boulder that I think has had only 1 top so far in the rounds.
Moreno.
Yeah, who's currently in first place.
Yeah.
You have Orr on men's number 4, making quick work of the start section, but now he is into this foot move.
Wow.
Yeah, it looks not too bad to get the foot close, but just that last little bit to put it out. He has got time. 1 minute and 4 seconds left on the clock, and he's very, very quick through that start now. So you can definitely get set up to try that move again. Was clutching his elbow towards the end of the previous boulder, but hopefully this boulder a lot less powerful, so hopefully not causing him any problems.
Or Mark on men's 4 is currently sitting in 7th place, so he's on that borderline.
Yeah.
So topping men's 4 would secure things. Meanwhile, Lou Auclair, watching her on that shows that it's not a mere formality on women's 3.
Mayan setting up for the last move. He looked good on this last time.
Wow.
No, I think he's out of time now.
Well, I thought Lou might make their top on that boulder, within the allotted time. I'm surprised she hasn't managed to close that one, but, you can't be indestructible. This one was a steady top from the Austrian athlete. Thanks to Fuzzy, our hosts, for the replays and for this live stream with some excellent screen options for us. So we're trying to catch all the action in such a busy competition.
The Austrian athlete looking really strong on the start of men's 3, very comfortably through this. Adrian Cafan, so needs to bring that right foot up a little bit. He's wanting to match.
Wow, are we going to see him skip?
Different? Wow. I think I wonder if he'll try and get over.
Wow, yeah, trying to skip the red volume altogether.
Well, yeah, I wonder if he was going to try and pull over with his left hand and then put the right hand palm on the red volume, maybe.
And there is that foot to go off, that purple foot, which is obscured by the colour of the wall, isn't it? So yeah, he could.
It's not a great foot.
No, no. Not many of those going around.
Although much better than the feet that Andrea Ludovico is about to have to deal with. Okay, so he's got plenty of time on this, and he's into this top section. So, and here's that foot placement, and he looks, looks unsure. Almost looked like a slightly thrown away attempt, a little bit on the top there. So I think he's going to have a bit of a look and a bit of a think, and hopefully make a bit of a plan for the next go.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see him change something just for his sake, you know, because that seemed like a pretty bleak possibility of catching the top in that fashion. So something has to change. Whether he's acknowledged that or realised that, I don't know. I mean, it's obviously much easier for me to say that.
Well, there isn't anything to grab hold of on that finishing hold. It's all about pushing into the bottom of it. So you are going to have a foothold. Okay, the Austrian athlete on men's free having a real good look. I wonder if he's considering changing his sequence at the top, or whether he's going to have another go at that, doing the match and skipping the red palm.
Okay, back with Andrea. Lost his number. Saving a bit of weight. As he powers up into this contorted volume position, or contorted position between these volumes. We could see if the Austrian athlete chooses the same hand sequence, or if he looks tempted to do it.
Yeah,
he loves a crimp and just wants to establish himself on those in a good way.
One finger on that.
Can he use the left foot? I think he's too far away, isn't it? That's futile.
It is a really big move that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Well done, guys.
So we've got quite a fierce competition in both categories, male and female. We have some athletes that are secure. We have other athletes that are teetering on the verge of being pushed out of the finals. And as we have the last few athletes closing in on the final boulders, we are intrigued to see how they can progress their own scores and what effect that will have to the other athletes that have completed their competition already. We see very fast work here on women's 4 from the French athlete.
Claire, just so getting the zone but then falling off that bit. Okay, if we now look at women's number 3, Jacoba. So if she can flash this boulder, that will be 3 flashes on the first 3 boulders, which I think will be, that alone will be sufficient to secure her place in finals.
Beautiful climbing here, like this is not looking in much doubt at all again. So 3rd boulder, 3rd different style of climbing, and she's again flashed. Yeah, looks like a very confident young woman there.
So
good effort from her.
Potentially could just go and rest now, place is secure in finals, but she's gonna come and have a go on number 4 anyway. Let's see if she can flash that, then be a clean sweep of the round.
So Lou needs this. She's now residing in 11th place with 69.8, and that is including the zone that she's made on this boulder. So she really does need those extra points that she could take from the top to sort of catapult her up into the upper section. Can she make it though? Because we have 8 places with 3 tops or more, and it will come down to the number of attempts that she's had.
Yeah, because the women's score is actually looking a bit higher than I'd previously given credit. So Jacoba is currently in 10th with the 3 flashes. So yeah, you are the women's basically to make finals in the women's you need 3 tops and a zone is the absolute minimum that you can score to get in. But then it's going to come down to your attempts on those as well.
So yeah, illustrating the effect that the new scoring has on it, even with the 3 flashes that we have seen from Jacoba, it still doesn't put her in finals, you know.
No, not necessarily.
With all these athletes scoring 4s and 3s in the number of attempts on the sends of the boulders that they've made, you know, those. I mean, for me, flashes are so impressive and should be more valuable in a way, but it's. Yeah, I guess it's potentially difficult to devise a competition scoring system that does allow for that. Maybe the attempts could be more of a deduction than just the 0.1, but yeah, that's for somebody more in tune with the scoring system to consider than me.
Are we going to see a top? Oh,
what?
Okay. I do like the way that athletes are rewarded for functioning across a range of boulders.
Yeah, that's without a doubt. I like that too. Yeah, that's a great
Are we going to see a top here? This foot placement, difficult, but yeah, she's managed it.
So Lou's going to jump from 11th with that top to 8th. So just inside the finals.
Right, so is she going to be just pushed out by Jacoba?
I mean, I would fancy Jacoba's chances at least zoning, which would put Jacoba at the top of the leaderboard. You know, in fact, actually, a zone would put her in 2nd, provided she secures it in a limited number of attempts. We have Adela from Czech, who has topped all 4 boulders, so it's on Jacoba to really make a statement and complete that 4th boulder.
If my maths is correct, which it might not be, because I'm still learning the scoring system a little bit, but Jacoba essentially has to secure the zone on boulder 4 in less than 8 attempts in order to secure her place in finals, which the way she's been climbing, I would have thought she's almost certainly going to do. Okay, so Adrian now on the top section of this men's number 4, using a slightly different method. I think he is holding a screw hole, and he's managed to make it work. Oh no! So he did actually get one hand on the finish then, but couldn't match it, and that was interesting. He turned his left hand to hold, looked like he was holding something at the back of that volume, and I'm pretty confident there is not a hold there, so I imagine he's just crimping on the edge of a screw hole in the volume or something.
Well, great accuracy there from Paula to land that left-hand foothold. But yeah, just not managing to get a hand across and looking a little bit puzzled by what comes next. Just a little pause for thought. She tries to understand what comes next for her. We have some of the coaches in the background enjoying a beer after their athletes have potentially finished their round of this competition. And there is a very passionate owner of this gym, a climbing fanatic, I would say, who is our host here today. And we've got to say a big thank you to Stefano and his partners Carlo, Ludovico and Gianmarco for hosting us here at Aerobia Climbing.
There we go.
Nice.
So setting up for the finishing move.
Oh, nice. This looks
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
And are we going to see?
Sigh of relief. And
yeah. So a top on women's 4 and men's 4. We can see the route setters there. Nimrod Marcus looking very pleased.
yeah, chuffed there, isn't she? This young lady's very chuffed with that. Terrific stuff. Let's have a look at what impact that's had on her competition standings. So that's bumped her up into 3rd place, completing that boulder after only 4 attempts. She flashed the 2 previous boulders, but only managed a zone on the first. But she is solidly through to the final stages, which will be held here at European Boulder tomorrow, Sunday the 18th of May.
So we have about just under 5 minutes left of this competition. So as all the athletes have on the mats have completed their boulders, we're just waiting for the clock to count down till the last athlete to come out.
Adrian, with his top there on boulder number 4 after only 2 attempts, has put himself in 2nd position. So both of those athletes walking away with the finals to come tomorrow.
5 seconds.
Great team here at Aurobia Bergamo. You can see some of them in the background here. Integral part of the organisation of this competition together with Fazzi. So many thanks to everyone who's been involved in putting this competition together, from the route setters to the team here at Aurobia and to the team of judges and organisers from Fazzi. The Federazione Arrampicata Sportiva Italiana. There you go. It's a bit of a mouthful for you, but
Your Italian pronunciation much better than mine.
we're getting there. Right. Men's 4 for Atamar Harel. And we see Jakoba leap into the 2nd section of climbing here.
And that is her place in final secure.
Absolutely.
But
Secure in the zone.
Will she figure out what to do here?
Yeah, good question.
So all the athletes have dropped back down with the right hand and swung across.
Well, she's got energy in the tank to play with the methodology here. Is she going to drop that hand down, or can she make it in another fashion?
It's a really big stretch across if you do it, because the body is pushed so far to the right, and I think she's using a lot of energy up there.
Yeah, yeah.
So for the first time in this competition, she falls off a boulder.
Well, she's sat in 2nd now, and she's live on boulder 4. And she has 2.5 minutes to complete this boulder to try and catapult herself into 1st place ahead of Adela. And really, coming out, the significance of which would be she would enter the finals as the last athlete to step out onto the mats, which benefits you in a way in which you know what you have to do, and sometimes can put pressure on you in a good way. Gives you the insight, not directly but indirectly, as to what the other competitors in the finals have achieved. And so, yeah, I mean, it obviously puts great pressure on you, but it also lets you know what you have to do.
She is struggling with this last move, though. Feels like she's not read it quite right yet.
Looks composed, though.
She's having a good long look at it, walking quite far to the left. So having a look at the other side of the hold that she's going for. That hold is blocked, so it's very much like a sort of a crack feature. Not in that you jam it, but just the shape of it.
Getting some encouragement there from her teammates, who are...
Okay, oh no, I thought she was going to swing and go, so she's going to stick with this rockover method.
Is she looking at doing something dynamic towards the top of the boulder, or no? That would be a bit far-fetched even for her.
I think she might have worn herself out on that. Meanwhile, Itamar was with a foot sequence that we've not quite seen before, putting his right foot really high up on that hold. unable to make it work. So 40 seconds left on the clock, so realistically these athletes have got one more attempt left, or one more good attempt on these boulders.
After which we could go and enjoy some of this beautiful Italian sunshine as we progress to just after 5 o'clock here, Italian time, Central European time. Both athletes falling off simultaneously there, and yeah, completely out of time.
Yeah. But both of them securing finals anyway. I wonder if they knew that, or that played into the psychology at all on those attempts.
Could easily have done, couldn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
In theory, they don't, they don't know the scores, but there's things they can read from the crowd, and also they know how they've done.
So here we have your rankings for the finals of the European Cup here at Orobia. So first the women, we have Adela Boraska in first place, followed by Jakoba Rauter in second, Eva Skrelek in third, Paula Meyer Vorfelder in fourth, Elisa Stringo in fifth, Olivia Kistmacher from Germany in sixth, Rafael Kasparkova in seventh, and finally Ida Stapelberg in eighth. And for the men, we have Moreno Gigliardi from Switzerland with 3 tops and 1 zone, followed by Adrian Cathan in second place, Mayan Bauer in third from Israel, Itamar Harel from Israel in fourth, Artistide Alepartes from France in fifth, Mati Azi from Israel in sixth, Ivan Lemania from France in seventh, and Javier Sekiam from Great Britain squeezing into finals in 8th position.
Tough round for the men. Some hard boulders. Boulders 3 and 4 particularly. One of the effects of that is that they've had to do quite a lot of climbing, quite a lot of attempts, particularly on that third one. So we'll see if they can recover fully for finals tomorrow.
So thank you for joining us here at Orobia Climbing here in Bergamo, in the north of Italy. We will have the finals of both the under 19, under 17 and under 21 categories tomorrow, Sunday the 18th of May. And we would be very pleased if you would join us here, live on YouTube, or wherever you get your digital media. I've been James Blay of Appiano Distribution Studio, and I've been joined by Alex Fry of Hardwood Holds, and we're looking forward to hearing you and speaking with you tomorrow for the finals of all 3 age categories of these competitions. We hope you've enjoyed today's event. Over and out.
See you soon.